But somebody asked, what are your thoughts on Psalm 82, the Divine Assembly, and Heiser and his work, which has been pretty popular lately?
Mhm.
Just do you have any kind of, you don't have to go in depth, but just they wanted to
Yeah,
know, what do you think about?
this is a hot topic. And Michael Heiser has a lot of followers who are very excited about his work. And I'm grateful for the way he's dug into ancient sources and assembled his evidence. I've read The Unseen Realm. I've not read all his other books. He's a friend. I've spoken at his conference, and he's been a big encouragement to me. But I don't like know all of his view inside and out. I don't keep up with his podcast. Here's what I would say in short. It is clear that the Old Testament writers assumed that there was a divine council or a divine assembly, made up of residents of the divine realm, whether they're angels or deities or whatever is less clear. And part of the reason it's less clear is because the word Elohim in Hebrew, as you know, can refer to any resident of the divine realm, not necessarily just gods. So even if it calls someone, you're among the gods or whatever, doesn't mean they're all the same thing as God, big G, God. So it's clear that the Old Testament writers assume this. There are two main views about whether we should then accept that view as an accurate perception of reality. And so we have Michael Heiser on the one hand saying the Old Testament says it, that settles it. And John Walton on the other hand saying the Old Testament says it, but that's an example of divine accommodation. So there isn't actually a divine council. They just thought there was. And so this is the way they're conceptualizing what's going on in the heavenly realm. We
Would
have
Walton, let
really
me ask real quick, would Walton
yeah,
put it similar to when they talk about the pillars of the earth or
yes,
the dome of
yes.
the
The
sky? He would say this
rakia, the
is
dome, yeah.
a world
Yeah,
picture and it's the same. That's how we should approach it.
yeah. So he says there's no new scientific revelation in the Bible. God isn't trying to change their science. He accommodates himself to their view of the world. And he sees the divine council as part of that accommodation. Not that it's science in the modern sense, but I suppose to ancient people that would have been part of science, like how the cosmos is made up. And so he says that the biblical writers are assuming this. God doesn't correct them. He just sort of plays along or reveals himself as greater than the gods or
Right.
whatever. And Heiser says, no, the Bible reveals this. I personally feel like I'm somewhere in the middle between these two. I don't know if it's possible to be in the middle. I feel
I'm,
like
I'm there with you if you are.
I follow Walton in saying there's no new scientific revelation in the Bible, but when it crosses the line into like religious, spiritual, like the spiritual world, it's harder for me to see that God wouldn't want to correct that, their view of God and how the divine realm works. On the other hand, I feel like Heiser is way more sure than I am what that all looks like and how to connect all the dots. And so he brings up the passages in scripture that talk about the divine council, and to him this makes like it seems a very detailed vision
Yeah.
of where demons come from and what are the hierarchies and how it all works. And I feel like we get little glimpses, but I'm not sure how the dots connect behind the scenes. So I feel a little more agnostic than
That's
Heiser
a
on how it works out.
that's a beautiful answer. That's exactly what I've tried to communicate when
Mm,
people have asked me about it. Is I've
yeah.
said Heiser is worth reading. He's
Yes.
bringing some good observations.
Yes.
He's more confident than I think his case allows, but his arguments are definitely worth taking into account. And
Yes.
and I've appreciated his books. Some of those books you enjoy it, but then they frustrate you sometimes. There's a lot of those that we all have them. Even if I read something that friends write and I disagree with them, but I really like them. It's
Yeah.
that same feeling. It's like, you're
Yeah.
you're making great points here, but
Heiser and Walton are both my friends, and I'm like, oh, I don't. This is where I can't like just agree with something because someone's my friend because I got friends across the spectrum, and I'm like, let me just stand here in the middle and try to be friends with both of you.
well, your insight I think is spot on in that case, and I agree with you completely. There's both voices need to be heard, definitely.